And now to Twitter, where former Sydney Morning Herald columnist and Order of Australia recipient Mike Carlton has sent some, I would call, bizarro communication to a number of women who have, I guess, offended him by having opinions. Of course, I've been on the receiving end of Mike Carlton's abusive tweets, even long after I blocked him. Liberal MP Nicole Flint and Daily Telegraph columnist Miranda Devine have also been on the receiving end of some ugly online abuse and innuendo. But on the weekend, he even targeted a leftist feminist, a medical doctor who received this in her Twitter direct message. Really kind of unnecessary. It said, "You are a truly nasty, paranoid, piece of work. Bitter, self-entitled and stupid, utterly without self-awareness. God help your patience." Really? I mean, that's not called for, is it? And then writer Alexandra Marshall also copped some Carlton vitriol. She was called nasty, bitter and rancorous and accused of leading a narrow life. The irony is rich here, I can tell you. And Alexandra joins me now to tell us what in God's name is happening on Twitter. Alexandra, what's going on? What did you do to have Mike Carlton send you this nasty direct message?
Well, look, all I did was suggest that he might be slipping down the rungs of relevancy with his little Twitter tirades when he was attacking Sky News on the weekend. And that, of course, earned me that wonderful message in my DMs. I was defending Sky News, and that makes me enemy number one.
Well, see, I blocked him so long ago, so I don't see any of his tweets, but every now and then I'm made aware that he's tweeting about me. I mean, you know, the obsession continues. I'm sure he's not obsessed. He sort of spreads the abuse far and wide, but still, I can't believe he sent you a direct message having a go. Well, I've had my share of Twitter spats. I've never done that before. I've never sent a direct message like that to anybody.
Well, look, it's not the first time I've come across Mike Carlton. I think quite fairly suggested that the ABC become a voluntary service, which earned me quite a little slanderous message from him before. And I woke up to thousands of messages from his little followers. And of course,
nice.
I didn't know who Mike Carlton was, so the first thing I did was have to Google him, and Google wasn't really sure either. But if you think it's a woman problem, I assure you that it's not. The worst I have seen from Mike Carlton actually came from a young, conservative, gay writer who is a brand new Australian. And how do I put Mike Carlton's words without being censored? He suggested
we are a family program here. I do not want to be taken off air repeating Mike Carlton's tweets.
Let's see if I can do this. He suggested the gentleman's area, which is often snipped for religious purposes, be pulled over his head, breathe deeply, and then take a running leap into an expletive I won't repeat here. So it's certainly not a woman problem Mike Carlton has. I think it's a decency problem.
Well, do we know why he sent that nasty message to the doctor? Because, you know, she seems to be very much on board. I would have thought with much of his opinions. She's of the left. What did she do to earn that awful message?
Well, the problem with Mike Carlton is that he's all over the shop. So trying to decode what goes on during his Twitter binges, we would be here all evening. But one can only assume that something upset him, or maybe she had an opinion that he did not like, and that earned his ire for that particular session. But no, I can't find any reason why he might have sent that particular one, but he was roundly punished for it, I can assure you.
Well, yes, there's always a dose of instant karma out there, even on the online world. Now, I've got to ask you, I know you are very good on Twitter. It's a platform you're comfortable with, but a lot of people say it's no place for conservatives. What's your opinion on that? Should conservatives venture onto that platform, or are they best to stay off it? Because it can get pretty ugly.
Well, I have been trying to warn people of the power of Twitter. So although Twitter might be quite a hostile environment to exist on, politicians and the media class listen to Twitter. So if Conservatives are not on Twitter, nobody is listening to your opinion. So if you want to change politics and have an impact on a political leader, even a Conservative leader, I suggest people go onto their Twitter page and leave feedback, because their media company and their handlers, they read what you have to say. So although you might cop a little bit of abuse, I think in the long run it is worth engaging in platforms like Twitter, because they are currently driving the narrative forward, particularly in politics today.
Oh, hugely influential. So much of what you see on Twitter, you very quickly see in the mainstream media. And I think that's kind of adding to much of the mainstream media being out of touch with their audience, because they think Twitter is their audience and Twitter is quite often divorced from reality. But you being on that platform and being a Conservative woman, are you surprised by the misogynistic abuse you cop, often from people who identify as feminists, male and female?
Yes, well, the most common comment I get from alleged feminists is that I should get back in the kitchen, which is a little awkward because that's where I keep all my knives, as I like to remind them. And the other thing is I'm supposed to check with my husband, which is something that I don't have, before I embark on an opinion that they, don't approve of. So yes, the censorship from women online, and I must say most of the abuse from feminists and people on Twitter comes from what we call blue ticks, and those are verified Twitter accounts of media personalities, of politicians. They are, by and large, the ones who perpetrate the most abuse on just the general population, people like me.
Well, you keep punching up there. You're doing good work. You're doing the Lord's work, because
fun.
You are outnumbered on Twitter. That's there. Everybody knows that it is pretty much a leftist platform, but for a Conservative to get on there and to state their opinions boldly like you do, it takes some guts. So good on you, Alexandra, and thank you for joining us.
And you as well, Rita.